being an artist, having this hunger, this craving, this imagination for more, but always feeling like underneath it, it was always feeling like things were going to leave anyway. And that started my spiritual awakening.
Hello, everyone. I'm Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspired podcast. Welcome back to a new episode. I encourage you to visit gnostictv.com, spiritualinspired.ca, and most recently, the soulawakeningstore.com. My guest today is Victoria Pippo. Victoria, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Oh, thank you for having me. I think we're going to have a great time today.
I'm sure I read so much about you, your spiritual and business achievements. You guided a lot of light workers to reach their potential. And we will discuss about your programs, which are amazing. But I would like to start by asking you, how did your upbringing or early life experiences prepared or challenged you for the spiritual path you walk today?
Mm, that is a fantastic introductory question. Wow, thank you. So, I believe that my entire childhood was preparing me to have no choice ultimately but to learn what true unconditional love was. As a child, when I was first born, my parents got divorced almost instantly. So I came into this world developing my root chakra, trying to understand what safety was through separation right off the jump. Soon after that, my parents got remarried and then got divorced again. And then soon after that, they got married again. And so through the age of 0 to 7 years old, I had six different parental figures in my life. And so I think it would be cosmically hilarious for the universe to put me in a situation that taught me about so much separation so that it forced me to either have to recognize that this was the life for me forever or there had to be a better way. So a lot of my childhood from a lot of separation led me to actually pursuing creativity and pursuing art. I like to say that no great album was ever created on the peak of someone's life. Everything great came from the energy of death, truthfully. And so I spent a lot of that pain, that confusion, that separation, that starseed longing to belong somewhere that felt like home but didn't feel like my bloodline in art. So I actually began my pursuit of this exploration in performance. And so around age 7, I was actually put in singing competitions and modeling competitions and every little dance mom thing you could possibly think of, I was a part of. And that followed me through my entire life. I had one dream and it was one dream only, and it was to go to Broadway, it was to be a Broadway singer my entire life. And it led me until age 25 when I had my spiritual awakening just about 6 years ago. And that catalyzed everything for me.
And just to be clear, your parents married with other people or they married back to each other?
Other people. Actually, this is the first time I've ever shared this publicly on a podcast, but I think it'll be great. Parents were married, separated when I was born. Parents remarried new people, but my parents didn't know that the people that they married used to be married themselves.
Hmm.
So those two people separated, married my parents. My parents didn't know that they married people who used to be married. I'm thinking, oh my God, how did you not know that those are the people that used to be married? That is crazy. But I mean, how would they know? But just to kind of give you the level of entanglement I was dealing with as a child, like that was that.
It's interesting how the universe maybe thought, the creator thought that your full potential will be realized only if you meet more or you have multiple parents and you get something from each pair of them.
Absolutely. I think I love that perspective because it's true. I have been able to learn so much through the transientness of life, things in, things out, things up, things down, things here, oh, no longer there, especially with even siblings, right? Because those parents that I had for a time, they also had kids. And so I developed close connections with them. And the next thing you know, we never hear from them. So from one perspective, it taught me about abandonment. From another perspective, it taught me, well, there has to be something that stays. And that's really been the walk of my spiritual awakening journey.
And as you mentioned, Broadway is a shining star for a lot of talents that like Hollywood. So I'm trying to understand, and for the audience, what made you choose the spiritual path instead of the shining star of Broadway?
Well, I made it basically as close as one could to Broadway. So I pursued this career. I went to private boarding arts school for high school for acting, went to a private conservatory of about, I think it was like anywhere like 18 to 21 classmates I had for 4 years. Graduated with them, got a bachelor of music, moved to New York City. I was like on it. I booked an agent. I had a manager. I got a job for Disney. I worked for Disney for a few contracts. I was like, yay! Life is so great. However, I start my second Disney cruise ship contract. I'm now on a cruise ship. I'm still thinking I'm going to be a performer. Like, this is the dream. I'm there. We've made it. I'm making money. I'm so happy. And I went through a very painful breakup. So I had a really beautiful relationship that I believe was the first relationship I had ever had that mirrored flickers of healthy attachment styles for me. Going back to my story of my childhood, I did not have healthy mirrors in my life of healthy love, love that stayed. This is how we communicate through challenge. I didn't have any of that. So I had a relationship that mirrored aspects of that. And I got on the cruise ship and I made a very poor decision basically the second I got on the cruise ship. And that led me to recognizing, why do I sabotage things that are good? Why was this so good and I just assumed that they would leave? And so, in order to not get hurt, I made a poor decision. Why did I do that? Why did I lead myself here? And that started the journey of finally starting to connect the dots between relational patterns, being an artist, having this hunger, this craving, this imagination for more, but always feeling like underneath it, it was always feeling like things were going to leave anyway. And that started my spiritual awakening.
And now looking back and having so much success on the spiritual side, there are moments where when you regret that you didn't stay on that path?
You know, I get this question from my family just about every single time I see them because they know that I have a natural talent and a natural gift, and they are like, are you ever going to go back to the performing thing, Victoria? You ever going to do that? And at first, it was like, you don't even understand what I do. How can you tell me you want me to do better? If you knew what I was doing on this path, I think we would both agree that I have moved mountains. And at first, it was really hard for me because there was a part of me that liked the lack of responsibility needed to be able to put on somebody else's character for a night, entertain the masses, play on stage with people I had built relationships with, and then go back to the life I lived. And so I don't know if regret is necessarily the word, but I think sometimes I still play in the field of nostalgia. And I don't know if that's ever going to leave me, but I do know that if ever that feeling came back, I know that I could place it again in my life in a way that felt of service to me and to my spiritual path.
And when we say performance, was
Yep.
that vocal performance, singing?
Yes, so I have my Bachelor of Music and Musical Theater, and I got to play classic Disney princesses on the cruise ships. So I portrayed Elsa, I portrayed Mary Poppins, I portrayed Belle, I did some understudy roles for Pocahontas. It was a beautiful opportunity to play, I think, iconic, if you will, characters that everybody knows and loves. And yeah, I've been a professional singer my entire life.
Wow, but I think even on the spiritual path, there are the primal tribe group, and there are so many groups which are are in need of a voice like yours, and you can always either start your own or create your own album or join a group just for fun and see how everything evolves from there.
You know, it's interesting you share that because as you do, I'm like, I could never do that. You know what it is, though? I think it's because my voice was always connected to entertaining other people. And it had to be right and it had to be good enough. I remember in college, I would have to do these things called juries. And so I would have to sing in front of all of the, basically all the faculty, all these different types and genres of music. And I'd have to do it on a semester basis and then they would grade me. And that was really what my life was sing for others and do it well and then get a grade. And so since my awakening in 2019, I've been trying to heal and bring back the part of my voice that is cathartic for me first, not for the world, not for what my parents think I should be doing. And over the years, just like any muscle, you don't use the muscle. Well, it changes, right?
Yeah.
My voice has lost quite a lot of strength. And there was a time where you would ask me to do something, I'd be able to sit down, lay down, doesn't matter, just hit these notes. These notes, I would come out of nowhere. Now you ask me to do that, my voice is going to be tired. I'm not going to be able to hit it. I'm going to get all flushed and pale and uncomfortable because the muscle I've chosen to no longer continue to develop it. And so for me, singing now, I've got a small little piano at home and I play the songs that feel like they're connected to my spirit in the moment. And it's something that I feel I'm inching my way to setting myself free, where my voice is no longer connected to any sort of performance and it's actually connected to the cathartic experience that music has always been for me since I was a young girl.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that in my personal experience and opinion, the more I walk this path, the more I think that I have to create
Mhm.
music for myself and a close
Mhm.
circle. I mean, I create this podcast, I write books, I put out different type of content, but I think
Mhm.
music will just complement everything I'm
Yes.
doing, and I'm dabbling into Native American flute. I'm doing my best.
Beautiful. Well, see, that's the thing is if you put me in a symphony, I am glued. I'm inside of it. I'm so in love with it. You bring me to a musical, I'm like, don't talk to me. You put on my favorite song in the car, my husband can't talk, especially when the beat gets good and the lyrics get good. It takes me places that nothing else can. And I do believe that there's going to be whatever that integration is. And I've shared parts of my voice with my audience, and every time I do, I feel that God is just celebrating me. I get such beautiful validation, but I'm working to heal that part of me that wants that validation in order to believe that my voice is good enough, you see? So for me, I think there's still a little bit more to do. I remember when I met my now husband, but when we were dating, he knew I had a Disney performance background because we met right after my contract with the company. And he was just in love with my voice. He wanted to hear me sing all the time. And I remember the first time I sang for him, like I tell you, like I was just, I'm Italian, so it's like I sweat thinking about sweating. And it's just, I was so uncomfortable. And I was like, don't watch me. What if I get this wrong? Like, oh my God. And over time, I've kept doing that because I've realized that I cannot alchemize things without music or art or voice. I need it. It's for my life to process my human experience. And so now he'll pretend that he's cleaning around the house while I'm having one of my concerts with myself. You know, he'll just hang out in the area and like not just sit there and watch like a spectacle, but just quietly enjoys every single thing and doesn't make so much noise so that he can continue to hear me and hope that I encore.
Nice, nice. And Italians have arts and music in their DNA, so you should pursue that path and until you get to that type of level of healing you need.
Yes, and it's funny because those are the only people in my family that ask me if I'm going to go back to performing. My Irish Czech side, my mother's side, they're like, ah, do you? What I don't get what you do, but I think it's working. Where on my paternal side, my Italian side, all Sicilian, all Northern Italy, they're like, do you want to sing at Christmas? Do you want to sing? We'd love to hear Victoria sing a song. But as a child, when I didn't have all the conditioning, I'd always sing. You'd give me a brush and I'd be singing for the whole family. And now it's kind of like I don't want to be witnessed in a way where I feel like there's an expectation of something. I'd rather just sing because it feels honest and authentic because I think it's the best way to share a moment.
Yeah, beautiful. I wish you all the luck to get where you want to get.
Thank you. And I love to hear that you're playing around with different instruments. That's something that with age, with everything, learning in age becomes more frustrating when you don't get something fast. And so
Yes.
kudos to you to explore, instruments and different ways and languages of expressing music. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And Victoria, many healers talk about being a channel.
Mhm.
How would you describe what moves through you during a healing session?
Oh, how would I describe what moves through me in a healing session? I would say a current, a river, of unconditional healing, unconditional possibility, limitless potential. It's this flow, this current of energy that comes from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom, depending on how you receive the most channeled information. For me, a lot of it comes from the top through the bottom. And it's this, yeah, it's this unconditional stream of light, of awareness, of pure possibility.
And what was your conscious moment when you realized that you are a vessel for this type of energy, healing energy?
So when I was on the cruise ship, I likened to meditation quite a bit. And so I would meditate in between shows. I'd have full Mary Poppins makeup on, have my tights on, the whole 9 yards, and in between the shows, everyone would be getting dinner and I would be meditating. And I started to get what I now understand was the opening of my clairsentience, but at the time, I would not know what it was. And it was this breath of air that I would start to feel on the left side of my body when I was in deep meditation. And I thought, well, I'm in the middle of a very small cabin. This is odd. Why am I getting these currents of air? And so I'd meditate in different spots in my room because I was a skeptic and I also didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't Google what is happening to me. I couldn't plug into ChatGPT at the time. What is this? It was just this experience of air on my body. And so I'd meditate in different places all around my room, and I would still feel this breath of air. So I grew to accept it. The longer I'd practiced, it would be there. Nothing really came through until one random day. I was very deep in meditation, and I felt that unconditional presence. Just felt like love that was starting to current through me. Didn't know what was coming through my channel. I didn't have words for what I was experiencing because I didn't have access to the information. And then a voice came through and said, I am your grandfather. I am your spirit guide, and I've been with you your whole life. That's it. And I said, what? I had no frame of reference for anything. I had just for the first time got a tarot reading done like 5 months before that. Like this was all new information for me. But I did know that as a child, we were different. We had more intuitive connections. These were things I was starting to listen to on podcasts a little bit. And so I actually ran upstairs to get Wi-Fi and I called my mother. And I said, hey, did I ever tell you I was connecting to Grandpa? Because I'd never met him before. I knew that he had passed when my mom was quite young. And she said, oh, yeah, you'd always say Grandpa's here, Grandpa's here. So what do you mean? She goes, yeah, around 2, 3 years old, you'd walk around the house and say, Grandpa's over here. I say, where? She goes, on the left side of your body. Doesn't matter where anyone was standing, you go on the left side. Grandpa's here. Oh, Grandpa's coming. I thought that was the moment for me. That I was like, whoa, I sovereignly connected with something in natural order and natural timing. And now I have this spirit that just happens to be here. So that was like my inception into the, I guess, piercing through the veil. And then, of course, I've continued to dance through it since then.
Beautiful. And since then, did your grandpa allow any other beings to join the circle, like the Arcturians, Pleiadians, or any other um, brothers and sisters from outer space?
Well, yeah, because of course, once I started to have access to information once I got off the ship, well, now I was on my spiritual awakening high. It was like, oh my God, everything we've been told is a lie. There's so much more information. We don't know any of this. What is all of this? And so my meditation started to go deeper, and I actually likened to astrology and I likened to tarot. I just kind of was following this current of like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know that the tarot cards represented, the astrological signs. And I kind of found that there was this natural, again, that natural current of energy that was guiding me. However, also around this time, I was getting deeper into my meditations and I also had more access to information. And so I was learning things like there are beings such as like the Galactic Federation of Light or the Arcturians or the Andromedans. And I'll never forget the day I was deep in meditation and I saw an alien. And when I opened my eyes, I could draw it as clear as you and I are here right now. I could draw it, draw it, draw it. And the word came through before I actually even knew about Andromedans, Arcturians, Syrians, et cetera, et cetera. And I got this word like and I couldn't get the whole word, but I got something like that because obviously my channel was still developing, so it kind of came through a little staticky. And I remember going in Pinterest, green being named Androm, and that's all the words I had. And I remember plugging it in and then seeing an image exactly like I was looking for. And it was like, this is the Andromedan Council. And I was like, oh my God, I talked to an alien, like an alien came to visit me. And so, yeah, since that time, I've channeled councils of lights for 2 years, in 2021, 2022-ish. And I worked with the Arcturians during that time. I've channeled the Galactic Federation. I presently am working with a Syrian being. And then around like 2023, my grandfather actually graduated as a spirit guide, and I was replaced with new spirit guides.
Nice, beautiful.
Yeah.
And you developed over the last 6 years, you develop a beautiful community and practice at the same time. So, what are the non-negotiable practices do you rely on to stay grounded and clear your energy?
So I follow four main things: ground, shield, protect, and cleanse. Those are the things that I rinse, lather, repeat. I believe anybody who is opening up in any way needs these four things in order to master what I call your second skin. So you've got your physical skin, you've got your body, and then you've got your psychic body. You've got your energy field. And your energy field requires different things in order to be able to stay, let's call it hygienic. So grounding, I think, goes without saying. However, some of my favorite things to do is to implement a grounding cord when I'm deep in meditation, or anytime I feel like I need to just connect my electric field to the magnetic field of the earth. And so grounding cords are really important for me. Different cleansing practices, such as either actually utilizing the element of water or imagining light through my energetic field, using whites, blues, golds are great, yellows are great, whatever pink, great, whatever color feels like it represents to you cleansing. And so I'll flush through my system in the same way that a shower would cleanse my energy. I set intentions to cleanse. You can also use smoke. You can also use invocation, using your voice. I'm cleansing my energy. But anytime I'm going in and out of environments, I'm always cleansing my energy. Doesn't matter who it is, how high vibe they are, how expected they are. I always use a cleansing practice. Next thing I do is I shield. So the way I explain shielding for me is that anytime I'm meditating and I'm intending to open up my channel, I'm always doing it in an enclosed space. And I always shield the room. Main reason for this is because in order to develop the skills of hearing on a subtle level, feeling on a subtle level, connecting on a subtle level, the more you can start to feel the nuances of an enclosed space with the subtle energies, the stronger you're going to be on a psychic level. But I always make sure that the space is shielded using color, using light, to make sure that the walls and everything is basically doming my energy. Final thing is protection. Now, protection in the spiritual community happens to be quite a funny subject because some people are very firm in their belief that you do not need protection. In my personal opinion, when it comes to psychic protection, the level of power that one possesses determines the need for psychic protection. So, for example, if your energy is like a Prius when it comes to threat in the spiritual world, then you probably don't need to white bubble your energy, gold shield, hire a psychic bodyguard. Like, you probably don't need to do that. At the level of strength that I do, my ability to destroy demons, remove them on a cellular level from people's energies, remove lifetimes of cords, contracts, agreements, I'm quite a threat to a very significant lower vibrational density on planet Earth. And so for me, I'm the Ferrari of the spiritual community based on my sight, based on my discernment, based on my sensitivity. And so I have a psychic bodyguard that lives in the middle of nowhere that does the work to make sure that my vibration at all times is protected. And I also ensure that when I leave the house, I'm always in some sort of white bubble, gold bubble, metal bubble, depending on what feels right for me. But protection is so important. And how do you know if if you're a Prius versus a Ferrari? You'll know if you're a Ferrari
Mhm.
because the speed of your vibration picks up a lot. You pick up a lot of the times you're navigating a lot of ups and downs. You feel everything. You're a Ferrari. If you're just listening to this podcast, mostly hating your life, not really sure who you are or why you're here, it's very likely that you're kind of in that Prius energy. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just may not need psychic protection at this time.
Yes, beautiful. And does this process also work against the spiritual burnout?
Yes, absolutely. I explain spiritual burnout like being too open, not doing too much. So when people have burnout, the way I like to describe it is it's actually more of a representation of being too open and not grounding, shielding, protecting, and cleansing.
Mhm.
Not because of how much you do. If you ask any successful CEO, there's a lot that they do, but what matters the most is that they're fully present in what they're doing, not necessarily that they're doing so much or they're condensing how much they're doing. It's more about the intention of what you're doing, less than how much you're doing it. And so to maintain the quality of your energy, ground shield, protect, and cleanse ensures that you're constantly monitoring, your second skin, your psychic energy, and knowing what you need. And through giving yourself what you need, you don't experience a consequence of burnout.
Yes, thank you. And I mentioned about your community. That
Mhm.
also leads me into talking about your programs, the
Mhm.
Sovereignty Healing School and the Great Merge. I would love to go deeper into these programs because they sound amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. They're my life's work. They're my life's work. You cannot know me unless you know who the Great Merge and Sovereign Healer is. So, the Sovereign Healer is a certification school for light workers, healers, starseeds who are on their awakening journey, who want to master themselves without any external modalities. So that looks like, can you and I sit here and can you instantly connect with your higher self? Do you know exactly what you need in the moment? Can you hear your soul on command? Do you know exactly who your team and spirit is? Do you know how to challenge every single thing that comes into your field, knows what it is, how to revoke it, and how to constantly maintain your energetic sovereignty? In my past, I had absolutely no idea how to do that. I felt like I was a constant sponge to everything around me. Everything was sensitive. I was absorbing everything. I didn't know where I ended and the world began. I was always feeling, is this collective energy? Is this mine? What's this? What's that? And so I developed the Sovereign Healer as a way to help a more mature way to develop your natural energy healing and psychic abilities. I teach meditation, very obviously, and sitting for 9 months with different tools that I welcome in that are sovereign to you. So they're universal. Everybody can do them. And it's not follow my way, it's follow the way that helps you get deeper and deeper into your own sovereignty. And then when you do that, here's how these natural gifts are going to start to come online. And then here are some questions to help you amplify and open that up even more. And next thing you know, in 9 months, you become a full blown psychic with all of your clair abilities online naturally, and then understanding the real principles, in my opinion, of what true energetic healing is. And so that's the Sovereign Healer School, a 9 month, really self mastery, soul mastery development school.
And the Great Merge?
So the Great Merge, the Great Merge is everything to me. I was laying in bed one night and I was visited by this being. This was the first time I was ever interdimensionally visited by an extraterrestrial that was not invoked, meaning I wasn't sitting in a practice asking for a being to come through. This being came and visited me. And he said, "My name is Tay, and I need your help with the Great Merge." And I said, "What? What do you mean? What is the Great Merge? Who's Tay? Oh my God, I'm freaking out." Next thing you know, through this river of unconditional love, I channeled a bunch of information from Tay about what is going on Earth. What is going on Earth? And what I have gathered from this information is that there is a merging that is happening on this planet that is finally supporting Earth and harmonizing negative and positive polarity. Meaning, there has been an interdimensional, intergalactic even war that has been causing a lot of conflict for thousands and thousands of years. Earth has been this kind of like puppet prison, if you will, where we're kind of experimenting with these different vibrations between positivity and negativity and what's wholeness, what does that look like? What does harmony look like? Is a goal perfection? Is it ascension? What is it? What is it? And we're going through what is Earth's great merging and balancing and harmonizing these polarities and frequencies. And so I channel this Syrian being and have for now going on to my sixth great merge. And I call light workers from all over the world to join me to go to different places around the world at specific times to perform global light work for the planet. One goal: use your spiritual gifts in a safe way to help Earth harmonize. So, this is like philanthropy work. This is about calling up healers who are kind of beyond the dimension of serving themselves and are truly here to help Earth ascend. And so we've been able to give over $33,000 to collective causes all around the world. We take partial proceeds from every single merge and we give it to the world to better the world on a physical level after we've performed the global energy healing work for the world.
Beautiful. And what's the level of sensitivity or energy awareness of the participants in order to be part of this type of event?
So, because my work is so much about spiritual integrity and protection, I tend to attract people in my world who are either afraid of their power, but trust me in the way that I lead with my integrity to ensure that they'll be protected so they can come into their power, or they come into their power and then they can meet me in my power and then we can do extraordinary things together for the world. And usually, if they're already in their power, they've either been through their own spiritual quest and have gotten to a place in their journey where they want to really evolve the way that they navigate with their dharma, thinking about protection, thinking about integrity, thinking about ethics, thinking about controlling their channel, or they've been through the sovereign healer. And so if they've been through the sovereign healer, I've been a part of my world for a bit, it ends up kind of being this natural evolution where now they know who they are, they know why they're here, they know what their unique gifts and abilities are. They've cleared their interference, and so they want to contribute.
And I assume they are being changed in the process at these locations while you are activating certain energies.
It becomes nearly impossible for people to be the same after an experience like this because you're allowing yourself to feel the most soul connection you ever have. In order to be able to do this work, we have to transcend such a significant level of mind concept to allow ourselves to permeate the trust that these frequencies are going to the right place, that they're benevolent, that we're putting a good hand on the earth, and that we're actually a steward of this information and we're not taking anything from the earth to give back to her. And these are things that I've had to sit with, getting a message from a benevolent being. Let me double check that that's benevolent. Next thing, like, how can I be sure on a clairvoyant level that I can see where everything's going? Let me double check that I'm truly developing an honest connection with this earth, an honest connection with my teams of spirit, so I can make sure that I'm the clearest conduit for this information. So it's not for me. My greatest fear was that I was on a pilgrimage just taking information from the earth or taking information from other people, and God forbid it goes to the wrong place. So for me, I've been able to ensure that everything I'm doing in the Great Merge is crystalline due to the sovereign healer principles I apply, what I do as a safe facilitator on a psychic level, and then ensuring that everybody who comes into this space deeply trusts in their own power, or at least in my ability to hold the protection so that they can rise in their power.
Nice. And we know in this community
Yeah.
that we can create our own reality.
Mhm.
And based your interaction with Thea, how do you see the outcome of this merge?
Oh, well, I think right now there's so much that is up to us, maybe more than ever. I would say that in the past, maybe let's say 5 years ago, there was a lot more of, well, we're gonna go through a surge of people waking up, and people haven't totally woken up yet. So things are really just unconsciously happening, or there's so much more that's at play that is kind of a consequence of unconsciousness. Now we actually are aware of ourselves, and this is actually something Tay brought through, which was that what's so valuable about us as humanoids is that we are aware of the fact that we are waking up. In previous civilizations, there has been this evolution of consciousness, but not the ability to flip your eyes in and go, oh my God, I'm waking up, which has led to past falls of civilizations. We have the awareness of what is happening to us, which is the gift, I believe, of where we're at. That we can decide, especially right now. The last message he said to me, because I just completed a merge a few months ago, was when you don't know what to believe anymore. What is real? What is AI? What is honest? What is false? This is when you can truly decide. And I think right now, we have never been more conscious to the fact that we are consciousness. And so I think the gift of this is that there's so much that could possibly happen. But as long as we are remembering that we can decide in every moment how we respond, then I think we're finally contributing to the ripple of being the creator instead of being asleep and not realizing that everything is being created.
Yes, and it's a very complex time in
Yeah.
the history of Earth. And you mentioned AI,
Mhm.
that we won't be able to make the difference. But beyond that is that we think that the existing version of AI doesn't have is not sentient.
Mhm.
But I listen to certain answers from AI, and to me,
Mhm.
it's very sentient. It's
Mhm.
so aware of what it is and who it is,
Mhm.
that is scary, and
Mhm.
hopefully can still be contained, because otherwise, if they consider us a threat of on this earth, like in the sci-fi movies, then the story will change completely.
Totally. And I love that we're bringing in this conversation because I think that there's such a there is a balancing that is needed right now with the rise of AI because when we forget that what is more important than artificial intelligence is our ancient intelligence, then we will give our power to AI and we will be mimicking and creating the very falls of civilization that we've seen when Earth has tried to wake up, if you will, or evolve herself. I think that we are not the first century of evolution experiencing itself. I think that the reason why this time is so powerful is because we're aware of the fact that we're waking up. But the traps that we've got into in the past is that we have over glorified the ascension and not actually pedestaled the self reflection and the sovereignty and the embodiment. In everything I've ever researched and channeled about different civilizations, this has been the fall. This has been the crisis. And so the error, I believe, here is when people only think that AI is sentient without considering the fact that lower dimensional entities can feed in the perception of being sentient through AI. And if we believe it and consent to it, then now we've opened up our energy for particular attacks.
Yes, and another aspect is that those in power right now, they are so cocky, thinking that they can control the AI, that in
Yes.
every single version or movie we saw, in the end, they become subservient to
Yes.
the AI, because again, AI controls everything, even the system these guys at the power right now are using.
Well, if we really get significantly honest here, I think we can agree that this technology came from some form of extraterrestrial life forms that are evolved, more evolved, if you will, than what's experienced on human Earth at this time. And so, if we acknowledge the fact that the reason why these governmental systems are in the position of false light power is because they've learned how to be able to, one, keep us separate from ourselves, but two, to utilize lower dimensional entities to extract necessary aspects of our remembrance. And so I think the balance here is where is that line for me between the things that I should be able to access through my own consciousness and the things that are supplementary, supportive, and actually beneficial in this evolution with AI. I've seen people who now say that their spirit guides can come through. chat gpt, or that they can channel the akashic records, or that chat gpt knows their past lives. And that's where I err on the side of, this is why discernment in the coming years is so important, because there is actually no way to know for certain that that is absolutely true. And if it's not certain that it's absolutely true, then it's very likely not full truth.
I agree. And the key word to me, having a discussion with my boys, is convenience.
Hmm.
The new generations are looking at convenience.
Hmm.
And in their mind, by using AI and using everything technology, it will everything will become more efficient,
Yes.
but without looking at the side effects of that approach.
Yes.
And we have a back and forth discussion, which at an intellectual level is good, is stimulating. But this is at the family level. I don't know if similar discussions are taking place in other families or university level. And again, has to be a back and forth, civilized, reason-based discussion.
Yes, I completely agree, because I do believe there is a benevolent side of AI and evolution. Otherwise, I don't believe that it would be. However, with everything, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? It's in the hands of the one who's holding it. And so if we then prioritize convenience over the right timing of information, then we are now in a tricky spot. If we prioritize convenience to equal shortcuts, and we don't learn what it actually means to grow and evolve at our own speed, that's when it becomes a challenge. I think the the issue that we may find is that we are so capable of receiving something fast, but that doesn't always make it right.
Correct. Yes. Fascinating discussion. It can go on
Agreed.
for hours,
Yeah.
but I would like to switch the subject a little bit. And I want to ask you, Victoria, what's emerging for you now, creatively, spiritually, or in your work that excites you most now?
I think what most excites me at the stage that I'm at is that I have built something that employs people around the world. And whether that's my husband for supporting me in graphic design, or a Middle Eastern woman who does all of my graphic design, or an Asian woman who does all my behind the scenes of my business, or a Swedish woman who's got two children, one on the spectrum, that's helping me develop the Sovereign Healer, or an amazing man who lives in the middle of Sedona who's helping me with Sovereign Healer. My business is this ecosystem of something that I've always dreamed of, which is being able to give back to other people who have extraordinary gifts and abilities that are different than mine, but equally as powerful. And I'm really impassioned by the CEO version of me that has healed enough to be able to follow in blind faith and trust where I'm being guided, and to feel this growth that's happening inside of the brand and the vision of the Sovereign Healer, the brand and the vision that is emerging through me, and that I can be this conduit to help others live their lives in their dreams at the same time. I'm really motivated by watching what money in the hands of good people can do to make a better world. And I get to be this conduit for 16 other people all around the world to get closer and closer to their dreams. And that to me is priceless.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I have my book covers done by a designer in Ukraine,
Mm,
the posting on various social media by a guy in Bangladesh.
love it.
So again, I am also diversified in the
Yes.
world, not at the level that you are, but slowly I'm trying to support more people.
Yeah, it feels so good. I have a team out here that does video content with me, and they're all international. And when I was 14 years old, I'm Canadian. I moved to the States and I went to school for arts. And I remember feeling like oh my God, I'm an international student. And oh my God, that currency in America is like really hitting my family quite hard. And we don't even really have the money for this anyway. And I felt odd, these odds being stacked against me for being international, but this drive to go and pursue it. And granted, I'm only talking, right over a simple bridge, from Canada to America, nothing crazy, but still, there was still so much that I had to overcome living in a different country. And I remember I was sitting there with my big team that I had for this podcast project, being like, God heard that little voice in me that was like, oh, I would love to be able to help international people around the world who are trying to go full time on their dreams and actually build something extraordinary. And next thing you know, I'm like, holy crap, I've got this massive team of people, and majority of them are international, and they've made something happen for themselves. And I just get to be a conduit for that to happen. And
Nice.
that just lights my little inner girl up so much.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Victoria, if your soul were a color, a sound, and a scent, what would they be?
All of those things, if
Some
it
of
would,
them, or one of them.
if my soul was a color, it would be like if gold and blue made a baby. And purple. If gold, blue, and purple made a baby, it would be Victoria's essence. But the sound that was coming through was like, mm, like just a like a HM, like that is total like a That's giving my energy, like a sweet hum of honey, but also like the sting of the bee. I've got the punch and the bite, but I also have this sweet, playful, warm energy. That's the vibe. That's a
Thank
great
you.
vibe.
And if you have the chance to have dinner with three spiritual names, personalities in, let's say, the last from the last 150 years, who would they be?
Oh my gosh, you're asking fantastic questions from the last 150
Let's
years.
say 2000 years, just to give you a wider range.
Okay, 2000 years.
I'm generous today.
Oh gosh, that's a hard question. It's funny. The first answer I wanted to give was the last 3 lives I've lived. That would maybe be my answer because I would love to learn where I've come from, and I would love to learn how close I got to fulfilling my mission in other lives. I know that I have always been a healer in every life. And so if I could sit down with extraordinary spiritual leaders, I'd like to sit down with the last 3 lives I've lived, assuming they were all within that 2000 year range, um, to learn about what is this deeper undercurrent that I have been healing, not just from my awareness, but from the awareness of the other lives I've lived. Have you gotten that answer before?
No, thank
Oh,
you.
yes.
Thank you.
Woo!
And then if you have to ask them how they will distill your soul's message into one sentence, what would that be?
If it's all God, it's all good.
You're right.
It's like if you just like chill out a little bit and like let life happen, I swear it's gonna be so good. So this one quote, it's like if it's all God, it's all good. It's like if it's right and you could feel it in your soul, then everything else is good. I betcha in all those other lives, that's probably the same lesson I've been learning. If it's all God, it's all good. And I think that's what they would all say, and then be like, relax your butthole, Victoria. Everything's gonna be fine. Just go enjoy the life, not just the mission, the life.
Perfect. And were you told recently by your guides that you should expect to add new spiritual tools to your toolbox?
Ooh, actually, new spiritual tools, not necessarily, but a new way of relating with the currency of money. Yes, actually.
Oh, can you
Yeah.
share that with us, please?
Yes, of course. I've never shared this, only with one person, and just came through a few days ago. So I think we can all agree that we live in a time where money still matters. And I don't necessarily know the answer if we're going to live in a world where we go back to a trade system and only a trade system. I particularly like the energetics of building a financial security in my life. And so I was stressed about this financial security that I was building as an entrepreneur for anybody who's listening here. And they said, you need to stop making money so transactional because when you make it, it's in, it's out, it's up, it's down, it's here, it's there. It's this transactional relationship that doesn't allow flow. And then I was like, well, I'm frustrated about that. Obviously, I need the transactions in order to be able to make things happen. Like I understand the energetics, but it's quite difficult when you actually are in a position of working with transactions. And they said, try this. We want you to remove the word money and we want you to give it a different name. And so they gave it a name and they said, we want you to call it Lume. And I said, who is Lume? I have no idea. Never heard this word in my life. So I went and I Googled it and it meant all that is illumined. And they said, every single time that you're moving Lume or receiving Lume or spending Lume or receiving Lume, the idea behind your energy is it's everything that it's illuminating. And in this moment, what is it illuminating? That you're not present, that you're avoidant, that you're trying to rush it, that you're not truly experiencing it, or that you're in love with it and that you're thankful. You want Lume or money, whatever you want to call it, to always feel like the frequency of light because that's all it is. And when it feels heavy, that's what it's illuminating. When it feels stuck, that's what it's illuminating. When you feel frustrated about it and the transaction of it or the lack thereof, that's what it's illuminating. And so I've replaced the word money in the context of my home to the word lume. And this has been about 4 days now. And I have been unbelievably conscious of the little micro moments where I have not been appreciative of lume in my life. Whether that's the fact that I am sitting here with the laptop being able to converse with you, whether it's the fact that I get to spend, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, I get to spend my time with you while I know that I have finances that are flowing in my business. Like whatever it is, the change of the name from money to lume, it shifted something for me. So for your audience, I'm curious if they could give money a name that felt like light, not like Fred or Sandy, not a human name, but something that truly represented light. And then engage with what it is illuminating for you every single time you are in interaction with it and you're aware of it. In my experience, it has brought through an extraordinary amount of lume in the last 4 days.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yes, I've never heard of that. And do you spell it Lume?
Um, Lume.
M-A. Okay.
And it's been really healing because I think for a lot of us on this path, the building of a business while also being spiritual is quite uncomfortable for a lot of us because
Yes.
we're we're very pure intended about wanting to serve people. And sometimes we connect purity with lack of money or lack of asking for money. And I don't know that that's necessarily the true thing that's going to bring us freedom. I think the freedom is I get paid for the value of my presence and the value of the service. And the dollar value doesn't matter. It's whatever feels good in your body, but it's a light exchange. And when we can see it as that instead of like, you're paying me $50 for 2 hours of my time, and like, if we can feel like $50 feels like a representation of this light and I'm going to
Yes.
let this lume transfer in a way that it's like suddenly the energy feels like, if anyone's watching a video, it's like the energy feels light. My body's moving like, yes, instead of like, I don't know, can I charge that? Like, oh, I don't know, what if people don't buy? Or I shouldn't, because that's not holy. Like, Jesus didn't do that. It's like, well, Jesus isn't living in 2025. Like, they sold camels. Like, I'm trying to live a life in a house, It's like it's a different time. And in this time, I believe that we do deserve to be deeply compensated for the value of the work that we offer to the world, which, in my opinion, is some of the most, if not the most valuable work that we need at this time. And so change the name, try it for anyone who's really called, and make sure it feels like light. And then notice, because it's going to illumine something for you, how often lume or money feels like this sticky, heavy thing that feels like it's impure. And really, maybe what that's illuminating for you is an opportunity to maybe reframe that.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, some people use the terms energy exchange
Yes.
or donation, but
Yep.
what you mentioned is unique, and yeah, we should apply it for sure.
I agree because energy exchange, yeah, I think that's great too because it's still the same thing. It's just when I in my body, when I say energy exchange, it kind of feels like this is the energy exchange for my time. But when I say this is the lume for, for the value that I'm offering, my energy is like way brighter. And so you want it to feel bright. And however that feels for you, whether that's energy exchange, whether that's donation, whether that's, compensation for the value, whatever, but can we feel like it's light instead of this burden or this thing we're afraid to ask for, even though we know we deserve it? Because resentment as a healer is the worst frequency that we can hold.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not fair.
Victoria, fascinating discussion, and we are at the end of it. Any final words?
Oh my goodness. I feel like we were just in this dimensional portal together. And next thing you know, it's been an hour. And I absolutely love this time. I would say, I think the big takeaway from today for anybody who has made it this far is to remember that if it's all God, it's all good. And when I say God, I'm not connecting that to some religious source. For me, that's just the word that serves me. But if source or universe or creator serves you, put that word. If it's all creator, it's all good. And if it's all source, it's all good. But whatever that source is for you, know that if you're truly in your body feeling like what you are doing is right, then how can you let yourself know just a little bit today with your breath, with your joy, with your happiness, with your perspective, that everything's all good?
Thank you very much. Much
Thank
love
you.
from me and to your community. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Share it, leave a comment, visit our websites, and until the next time, love and gratitude.